"Ethan, you're up next," Sam said, tapping her watch like she was timing me. I swallowed hard, clutching the flash drive. "Yeah, just a minute. Don't keep the board waiting." Her voice was cold, sharp enough to slice through my chest. As I walked to the front of the conference room, a dozen eyes followed me. I plugged in the presentation, praying the slides wouldn't freeze again. I started, "Good morning, everyone. My proposal focuses on optimizing." "Optimizing?" Sam interrupted, laughing. "You mean that spreadsheet you've been working on for weeks?" A few chuckles rippled across the table. I forced a smile. "Yes, the one that saves the department? 10 minutes of work a day?" She cut in again. "How innovative." Laughter. Real, unfiltered laughter. It echoed like nails against glass. My throat tightened. "It's not just time saving, Sam, it's efficiency. It reduces—" "Ethan," she sighed dramatically, turning to the board members. He's very passionate. Sometimes he mistakes enthusiasm for progress. The word stabbed deeper than I expected. I heard someone whisper, "He's dating her, right?" Followed by quiet snickers. My palms were sweating. I looked at Sam, hoping she'd stop, hoping she'd see the humiliation in my eyes. But she just smiled wider, that fake corporate smile. "Maybe next time," she said sweetly. "We'll review it privately." The room went quiet except for the projector's hum. Marcus from finance cleared his throat. "Let's move on, shall we?" I wanted to speak, to defend myself, but my mouth wouldn't open. My idea, my effort, had just been murdered in front of everyone. When the meeting ended, people avoided my eyes. I heard Lena whisper, "Ethan, are you okay?" But I just nodded and packed my laptop. Sam caught up to me in the hallway. "Don't take it personally," she said, smirking. "It's just business." "Business?" My voice cracked. "You laughed at me in front of everyone." "Oh, come on," she said. "You were nervous. I was saving you from embarrassing yourself more." "By embarrassing me first?" I could barely breathe. "What the hell happened to you, Sam?" She crossed her arms. "What happened is I grew up. You're still stuck thinking loyalty means something in this place." My hands shook. "I thought we were a team." "We were," she said softly, almost pitying me, "until I realized you were holding me back." Her words hit harder than any insult. "Holding you back?" "Yes, Ethan, you play safe. You stay small. That's cute for interns, not for people who want to win." I laughed bitterly. "So humiliating me was your version of winning?" "Don't be dramatic," she said, brushing invisible dust from her sleeve. "You'll thank me later." I stared at her, searching for any sign of remorse. There was none. Just arrogance and a hunger for power I'd never seen before. "So what now?" I asked. "You'll just pretend I don't exist?" "Pretty much," she said casually. "Oh, and Ethan, don't make things awkward. People already think you're fragile." I wanted to scream, to throw something, but I just stood there as she walked away. The click of her heels sounded like punctuation marks to my silence. That night, the sky broke open. Rain poured down as I walked home, my jacket soaked, my laptop bag heavy with useless hope. Streetlights blurred into streaks of white. My reflection in a puddle looked pathetic. Eyes red, lips trembling, I whispered to myself, "She really did it." The words echoed inside me. She broke me in front of everyone. Each raindrop felt like a reminder, tapping my skin, whispering, "You let her." By the time I reached my apartment, my shoes squished with every step. I threw the laptop onto the table and sat there, staring into nothing. Every laugh, every smirk replayed in my mind. My phone buzzed. A message from Sam, "Don't overthink it." "It's just work," I typed back. "You made it personal." Then deleted it. Instead, I whispered, "You were just convenient, huh?" Quoting her voice in my head. The words twisted like glass inside my chest. I looked out the window. The rain hadn't stopped. Somewhere between anger and heartbreak, I made a quiet promise. I'll never feel this small again. And as the thunder cracked outside, I felt something shift inside me, something cold, sharp, and unbreakable. Whatever she thought she destroyed, she just awakened. "I'm done, Sam." She looked up from her desk, a smirk already forming. "Done with what?" "With this place. With you." I placed my resignation letter in front of her. Her laughter filled the glass office. "You're joking." "I'm not." She leaned back in her chair. "You'll come crawling back, Ethan. You don't survive out there. You need structure. No, I said, trying to steady my voice. I need self-respect. She folded her arms. Oh, please. This is about your little meltdown last week, isn't it? You're still sulking? You humiliated me in front of everyone. I corrected you, she said flatly. You made me look bad. I had to fix it. By destroying me? She shrugged. Collateral damage. Grow up. I stared at her, wondering how someone I loved could look so small behind all that pride. You really don't feel anything, do you? What do you want me to feel? Guilt? She scoffed. This is business, Ethan. You're too emotional. I picked up my letter and tossed it onto her desk. Keep your business. As I turned to leave, she said, You'll regret this. People like you always do. I didn't answer. The elevator doors closed on her smirk, and I finally breathed. Outside, the world felt bigger than it had in years. Cold wind, endless noise, and the taste of freedom that hurt like hell. When I got home, the silence hit harder than her words. My small apartment suddenly felt enormous. I dropped my bag on the floor and sank onto the couch. The phone buzzed. Lena, are you okay? I heard you quit. Me, I'm fine. Lena, you don't sound fine. Me, I just need time. I stared at the screen until the message blurred. I didn't cry. I just sat there, empty, motionless. The days that followed blended together. Job sites, rejection emails, unpaid bills. Coffee tasted bitter. The mirror showed a man I didn't recognize. Tired eyes, no spark. One evening, Mom called. Ethan, sweetheart, are you eating? I'm trying, I muttered. You sound hollow, she said softly. What happened? Everything, I said. She embarrassed me, I quit. Now I can't even look at myself. There was a long pause. Good, she said finally. Good? I laughed weakly. Mom, I'm falling apart. That's the point, she said. You can't rebuild if you don't break first. I rubbed my forehead. You always have these sayings ready. Because they're true, she replied. Let this pain build your backbone, not break it. I went silent. The words sank deeper than I wanted to admit. Ethan, she continued gently, don't let her define you. People who destroy others are already broken inside. I exhaled shakily. I don't even know who I am without that job. Then find out, she said. Start small. Do something that's yours. After we hung up, I sat in the dark for hours, her words echoing. Let this pain build your backbone. The next morning, I opened my laptop. The cursor blinked at me like a heartbeat. I started writing down everything I knew, every project, every idea I'd built for them that never got credit. By the time the sun rose, I had pages of notes. My phone buzzed again. This time, Lena. Ethan, she said as soon as I answered, I heard Sam spreading rumors that you left because you couldn't handle pressure. I laughed, hollow and tired. Of course she is. She's poison, Lena said. You're better off without her. Better off unemployed? Better off free. I leaned back in my chair. You always make it sound easy. It's not, she said. But you're not as weak as she thinks. You just need direction. I stared at the open laptop. Maybe I'll build something. Something that's actually mine, Lena hesitated. You mean, like a company? Maybe, I said quietly. If I can figure out where to start. You will, she said. You always do. When the call ended, I felt a strange calm settle over me. The ache was still there, but it didn't control me anymore. I looked at my resignation letter lying on the desk, creased and forgotten. The words, I resign, stared back at me, but for the first time they didn't sound like failure. They sounded like freedom. I whispered to myself, you'll regret this, huh? Then I smiled, a small fragile thing that felt like rebellion. Watch me. Ethan, get up, Lena said, standing in my doorway with a paper bag in her hand. I'm up, I mumbled, half buried under my blanket. You said that yesterday, she said, tossing the bag onto the bed. Coffee, and a reason to live. I sat up, rubbing my eyes. Is that a croissant? 2, she said. Because I knew you'd skip breakfast again. I took the cup from her and sipped. You're starting to sound like my mother. Good, she said. Because she's right. You can't keep hiding. I'm not hiding, I muttered. Then what are you doing? I didn't answer. She sat beside me, her voice softening. You used to light up when you talked about design. Now you look like a shadow. I just don't know where to start again. Start anywhere, she said, as long as it's forward. Her words lingered long after she left. That afternoon, I opened my laptop again and stared at a blank document. My fingers hovered over the keys, hesitating until a notification popped up. Noah, you still alive? I smiled faintly. Me, barely. Noah, good. I've got something stupid to show you. Me, if it's another meme, I'm blocking you. Noah, it's not. Come over. When I reached his apartment, it smelled like instant noodles and burnt coffee. You live like this? I asked, stepping over wires. He grinned. It's the smell of genius. It's the smell of poor life choices. Same thing. He pushed his laptop toward me. On the screen was a rough prototype of an app. It's called Pulse. Helps freelancers connect with clients directly, no middlemen. I built the skeleton, but it looks like trash. I studied the interface. Yeah, it does. Rude, he said. That's why I called you. I looked at him. You want me to help you design it? Help? He raised a brow. I want you to partner, 50-50. I laughed. You can't be serious. I'm dead serious. You remember when you helped me get my first gig? I owe you. Don't do it out of guilt. Not guilt, he said. Trust, you've got the eye. I've got the code. Together, maybe we build something that doesn't suck. I leaned back, staring at the messy room, the empty ramen cups, the worn-out hope in his eyes. This is insane. Exactly, he said. That's how all good things start. I exhaled slowly. Fine, I'm in. Noah grinned like he'd just won the lottery. We're going to be rich. Or homeless. Both, he said, already typing furiously. The next few weeks blurred into caffeine and code. We worked from his tiny living room, surviving on noodles and late-night laughter. You know, I said one night, staring at the glowing monitor, I almost forgot what it felt like to build something that mattered. You mean something you own, he said without looking up. Yeah, I admitted. That too, he chuckled. Sam would hate this. Good, I said. That's motivation enough. We both laughed, the sound tired but genuine. Sometimes Lena dropped by with food. You two look like ghosts, she'd say. We're entrepreneurs now, Noah would reply. Ghosts are cheaper than employees. She'd roll her eyes but keep bringing meals anyway. Nights stretched into dawns. My eyes burned from staring at screens, but my heart finally felt alive again. Every pixel, every line of code was a piece of the future we were fighting for. One night, when Noah crashed on the couch mid-sentence, I stepped outside onto the balcony. The city lights shimmered cold and distant. I reached into my wallet and pulled out my old company ID. Her name, Sam, was printed just below mine in small letters. I traced it with my thumb, remembering the humiliation, the broken pride. Lena's voice echoed in my mind. Start anywhere, as long as it's forward. I flicked open my lighter. The flame danced, small but stubborn. I held the card over it. The edges curled black, the plastic bending and dripping as it burned. The smell was sharp. Like melted memory, I whispered. Goodbye, old me. The flame died out, leaving only ash and the faintest wisp of smoke. For the first time in months, I didn't feel lost. I felt lighter. Back inside, Noah stirred awake. Did you just set something on fire? Maybe, I said. He yawned. Was it symbolic? Extremely, he smiled sleepily. Good. Then tomorrow we build something real. I looked at him, at the mess, at the glowing screens, and nodded. Yeah, I said quietly. Tomorrow we build everything. Noah, you realize we just hit 10,000 users, right? I said, staring at the dashboard in disbelief. He leaned back, chewing cold pizza. 10,000? That's nothing. Wait till we hit 100,000, I laughed. You said that when we had 100. And I was right, he grinned. We're unstoppable, man. I wanted to believe that. I really did. But after what I'd been through, I'd learned not to celebrate too soon. The months had blurred into a routine of sleepless nights and relentless coding. Our small apartment had become an office, half chaos, half creation. Nova Edge was alive. Lena stopped by one morning holding a folder. Do you two ever sleep? Sleep is for people without dreams, Noah said, typing furiously. Or hygiene, she muttered, wrinkling her nose. This place smells like ambition and death, I smiled. It's mostly ambition. She handed me the folder. Investor proposals. Some of them actually look serious, I skimmed through. You're kidding. Nope. You built something real, Ethan. People are noticing. Noah looked up. Wait, people as in money people? Exactly. He jumped from his chair. Finally. Validation from strangers with checkbooks. Lena rolled her eyes, but I could see pride in her expression. For the first time in a long while, so could I. That afternoon, we took our first video call with a potential investor. A man in his 40s, sharp suit, too polished for comfort. I've heard good things about Nova Edge, he said. Your analytics platform is disrupting traditional reporting models. I nodded. We're trying to make data human again. Ambitious, he said. You're young. Are you ready for the scale that comes with success? I smiled faintly. I've been ready for failure. Success can't be worse, Noah choked on his drink. The investor laughed. I like that. Let's talk funding. That night, Noah and I sat on the balcony with cheap beer and quiet awe. Do you realize what this means? He said. Yeah, I replied. It means we're just getting started. For weeks, the momentum built. Clients signed, feedback poured in, and our name started circulating in industry forums. Still small, still humble, but growing. Then one morning I got the email. From Marcus Hale. Subject, Partnership Inquiry. My chest tightened. Marcus Hale, CEO of Apex Dynamics, the parent company of her firm. I read the message twice. We've been following Nova Edge's development closely. I'd like to discuss a potential collaboration. Lena noticed my stillness. What's wrong? I handed her the screen. She read it, then looked at me carefully. Marcus Hale? As in, yeah, Noah's voice came from behind. That's her boss, isn't it? I nodded slowly. He whistled. Well, this just got cinematic. Lena crossed her arms. You don't have to meet him. I do, I said quietly. It's business. It's personal, she corrected. Maybe, I admitted. But I'll keep it professional, Noah grinned. Define professional. Not throwing a chair, I said dryly. Good start. For 2 nights, I barely slept. My mind replayed every humiliation, every laugh that still echoed from that conference room months ago. But beneath it all, there was calm. I wasn't broken anymore. I was rebuilding, and this meeting would prove it. The day came gray and heavy with rain. How fitting! Marcus's assistant greeted me in a glass tower downtown. Mr. Hale will see you now. When I walked in, Marcus stood from his chair, hand extended. Ethan, it's good to finally meet you. I shook it firmly. Likewise, he gestured for me to sit. Nova Edge is impressive. You've developed something our analytics division has been struggling to achieve. I appreciate that, I said, maintaining eye contact. We've worked hard to simplify what others overcomplicate. He smiled faintly. That's exactly what we need. Perhaps there's a partnership opportunity here. Perhaps, I replied evenly. He studied me. You used to work under our subsidiary, didn't you? At Vicente? I did. And you left suddenly. I had to, I said. Sometimes leaving is the only way to grow. Something flickered in his eyes. Interest, maybe recognition. I admire that. Most people stay comfortable. I tried comfort, I said. It nearly killed me, he chuckled. You've got grit. I like that. We talked numbers, integrations, potential collaborations. His tone was respectful, his interest genuine. But under the calm surface of every word, I could feel it, the pulse of quiet vengeance. I was sitting at the same table, but not the same man. As the meeting ended, Marcus extended his hand again. I'll have my team draft a proposal. You've built something remarkable. Thank you, I said. I look forward to what's next. Outside, the rain had softened to a drizzle. The city shimmered like wet glass. I stood there, breathing in the storm, feeling the weight of it all, the humiliation that had once crushed me, now nothing more than fuel. Lena texted, How did it go? I typed back, He has no idea who I really am. Her reply came instantly, then make sure he finds out. I smiled, pocketed my phone, and walked into the rain. The rise had begun, silent, steady, unstoppable. The boardroom door opened and the world went quiet. Marcus stood smiling. Ethan, good to see you again. We're just about to start. I nodded and stepped inside, briefcase in hand, suit crisp, pulse steady. Then I saw her, Sam. She froze mid-step, holding her tablet like a shield. Her confident mask cracked just enough for me to see the panic underneath. "Ethan?" she breathed. "Good morning," I said evenly. "Ethan Cole, co-founder of Nova Edge." The silence that followed could have shattered glass. Marcus gestured toward a seat. "You two know each other?" I smiled politely. "We worked together once." Sam swallowed hard, forcing a smile. "Yes, briefly." "A long time ago?" "Ah," Marcus said, glancing between us. "Small world." "Smaller than you think?" I replied. Sam's hands trembled slightly as she clicked through her slides. "Right, let's begin." I leaned back, folding my hands, watching her scramble to regain composure. Her voice wavered, too high at first, then forced into false confidence. "Our proposal today outlines how Vicent's analytics division can integrate with Nova Edge's predictive engine to—" Marcus interrupted. "Ethan, I'd love your perspective on that." She froze mid-sentence. I nodded. "Of course. The idea has potential, but the execution model needs refinement. The framework they're proposing is outdated. It limits scalability." Marcus frowned thoughtfully. "Can you elaborate?" "Certainly," I said. Nova Edge operates on adaptive architecture. It learns from system behavior in real time. Their model is static. Integrating ours would expose their inefficiencies. Every word I spoke sliced cleanly through the room. Sam cleared her throat. "That's a fair observation," she said tightly. "Though we've improved since when?" I asked, meeting her eyes. "Since you last told your team their ideas were childish?" Her lips parted. She blinked rapidly, recovering. "I'm sure we all make mistakes." "Some," I said softly, "just echo longer than others." Marcus looked between us, intrigued. "You two have history." "Professional," I said. "Mostly," she gave a brittle laugh. "I wouldn't call it history. More like a misunderstanding." "Is that what we're calling public humiliation now?" The words came out before I could stop them, but I didn't regret it. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Interesting." Sam tried to steer the presentation back. "As I was saying, integration would—" "Marcus," I said calmly, "with your permission, I'd like to show you an alternative approach." He smiled. "By all means." I stood, connecting my tablet to the screen. My presentation loaded instantly, clean, efficient, elegant. The contrast was brutal. "Our model," I began, "isn't about replacing systems. It's about evolution. It adapts, learns, improves." I turned slightly toward Sam. "Just like people." She looked down, pretending to take notes. Marcus nodded slowly, impressed. "This is excellent work." "Thank you," I said, keeping my tone measured. "We believe partnership should create mutual growth, not dependency." A faint flush crept up Sam's neck. She knew exactly what I meant. When the meeting ended, Marcus shook my hand firmly. "You've got vision, Ethan. I like your composure. Let's move forward with the collaboration." "I look forward to it," I said. He turned to Sam. "You'll coordinate with Ethan directly for integration." "He'll take lead." Her head snapped up. "Lead?" "Yes," Marcus said. "Nova Edge will guide the framework. Follow his direction." Her face drained of color. "Of course!" After Marcus left, the room emptied until it was just us. Silence hung between us like old smoke. She finally spoke. "You must be enjoying this." I looked at her, same sharp eyes, same arrogance, but smaller now. "Enjoying what?" "Seeing me like this." I tilted my head. "You mean watching you lose control?" Her jaw tightened. "You've changed." "No," I said quietly. "I just stopped letting people like you define me." She stepped closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't mean to hurt you that day." "Yes, you did," I said. "But that's okay. You made me better." She blinked, caught off guard. "Better?" "Pain has a strange way of building people," I said. "You broke my pride. I rebuilt it into purpose." She swallowed hard, her voice cracking. "So this is revenge?" I smiled faintly. "No, Sam, this is balance." She turned away, pretending to organize her files. "You'll regret this arrogance someday." "Maybe," I said. "But not today." I gathered my papers, calm and deliberate. My heartbeat was steady, my voice measured. As I reached the door, I paused and looked back. "By the way," I said, "you were right about one thing." She frowned. "What's that?" I met her gaze. "I did come crawling back. Just higher up the ladder." Her eyes widened, speechless. I gave her a polite nod and left the room. Outside, the corridor felt brighter, lighter. Every step echoed like justice. My calm had become my weapon, and I'd learned how to wield it perfectly. The first rumor hit like a spark in dry grass. "Ethan," Lena said, storming into my office, "you need to see this." She dropped her phone on my desk. The headline read, "Nova Edge accused of using stolen corporate data." I stared at it, expression blank. "Where did this come from?" "Anonymous source," she said. "But the phrasing, it sounds familiar." I exhaled slowly. "Sam," Lena folded her arms. "She's desperate. You humiliated her in that meeting and she's striking back." Noah poked his head in. "We're trending for the wrong reasons." "Damage control," I said quietly. "Start gathering the facts." "I want every email, every timestamp, every log." He nodded and rushed out. Lena leaned forward. "Ethan, she's trying to bury you." "I know," I said. "But I've been buried before." She studied me. "And you dug your way out." I didn't answer. My mind was already racing. Every humiliation, every laugh, every moment she'd made me feel small. Now she was the one drowning, and all I had to do was decide whether to throw a rope or a stone. Hours later, the office buzzed with nervous energy. Noah returned with a flash drive. "Found something. You're gonna want to see this." He plugged it in and the screen filled with files, email threads, time-stamped documents, internal reports. Lena leaned closer. "These came from Vicent's database. Sam accessed them 2 days before the rumors started." I clenched my jaw. "She leaked our beta data and twisted the narrative." "Classic projection," Noah muttered. "Accuse the other side before they accuse you." Lena smirked bitterly. "So much for her perfect reputation." I rubbed my temple. "Send it all to Marcus, quietly. No public statements yet." Lena hesitated. "You sure? You could destroy her with this." "That's not the goal," I said. "Not yet," she frowned. "You're hesitating," I looked at her. "You ever wonder if revenge actually fixes anything?" She crossed her arms. "Sometimes it's not about fixing. It's about balance." Noah whistled softly. "You're both terrifying." By evening, the truth spread faster than her lies. Screenshots leaked, proof of her manipulation. Anonymous employees confirmed her behavior. The next morning, Marcus called. "Ethan," he said in his usual calm tone, "I assume you've seen the reports?" "I have. You handled this quietly." "I appreciate that." "I don't like drama," I said. He chuckled. "Then you're in the wrong industry." "I'd like to speak privately." "Dinner tonight." "Just you and me." My pulse steadied. "Of course." "Good. Discretion, please." He hung up. Lena looked up from her laptop. "That was him, wasn't it?" "Yeah." "What did he want?" "Dinner," she raised an eyebrow. "That's either really good or really bad. I'll find out." That night, the restaurant was dimly lit, elegant but quiet. Marcus sat near the window, wineglass in hand. "Ethan," he greeted warmly, "you've had quite a week." "Comes with the territory," I said, sitting down. He studied me. "You didn't retaliate publicly. Most young executives would have turned this into a war." "I've been through worse," I said. "Noise doesn't scare me." He smiled faintly. "You remind me of myself 20 years ago. Controlled, calculated, dangerous." "Is that a compliment?" "Absolutely." He leaned back. "I've been watching how you handle pressure. The way you adapt, it's rare." "I just do what's necessary." "Exactly," he said. "And right now what's necessary is leadership." I frowned. "Leadership?" He nodded. "Vicent's internal chaos is damaging Apex's brand. Sam's become a liability. I need someone who can steady the division while keeping innovation alive." I stayed quiet. Marcus continued, voice low. "You built something powerful, Ethan, and you've proven your loyalty to results, not ego." "That's the kind of person I want steering the next phase." "You're offering me her position," I said flatly. He swirled his wine. "Let's call it future leadership. For now, I just want you prepared." A slow silence stretched between us. "Does she know?" I asked. He smiled thinly. "Not yet," I leaned forward. "If I do this, I'm not doing it out of spite." He nodded. "I'd expect nothing less. I want fairness, transparency, real merit. That's exactly why you'll win," he said. "And when the time comes, no one will question it." I sat back, my chest tight with a mix of satisfaction and unease. Marcus raised his glass. "To quiet revolutions," I lifted mine. To balance. The glasses clinked softly, and the deal hung in the air, unspoken but solid. When I walked out into the cool night, the city lights reflected in the glass around me. Somewhere across town, Sam was probably still fighting shadows she created. Lena's words echoed in my mind. It's about balance, I exhaled. Balance, I whispered to myself. Not mercy. The elevator doors slid open and I stepped into the same building that once spat me out. Same marble floors. Same polished logo. Same ghosts, but today, I wasn't walking in as an employee. Lena whispered beside me. You ready for this? I adjusted my tie. I've been ready for years. When we entered the boardroom, the air shifted. Executives murmured quietly until Marcus's voice silenced them. Ladies and gentlemen, he began. After recent events and a necessary restructuring, I'm proud to introduce our new acting CEO, Ethan Cole. The room froze. Someone dropped a pen. Another whispered my name like it didn't make sense. And then, from across the table, Sam looked up, her face drained of color. Ethan? She breathed, almost inaudible. I met her eyes and nodded once. Good morning, everyone, Marcus gestured toward me. Ethan will oversee integration with Nova Edge and ensure our analytics division is back on track. His leadership has already proven transformative. Applause followed, but hesitant, uneven. The kind that comes from people realizing the rules have changed overnight. When it ended, Marcus leaned close and whispered, The floor is yours. I turned to the room. Thank you, Marcus. I know the last few weeks have been turbulent, but turbulence clears weak wings. From today onward, we rebuild, not for image, but for integrity. I let the words hang. Across the table, Sam shifted uncomfortably. Her pen tapped nervously against her folder. Any questions? I asked. Silence. Then one executive spoke. Does this mean you'll be directly overseeing Sam's department? Yes, I said evenly. Effective immediately, Sam's pen stopped tapping. Marcus smiled faintly, satisfied. Excellent. I think that concludes the announcement. As people filed out, whispers chased me like echoes. Is he serious? Wasn't he fired last year? How did this happen so fast? I ignored them. When the room emptied, only Sam and I remained. She stood, trying to steady her breath. Ethan, I didn't know. I'm sure you didn't, I said calmly. This wasn't your doing, right? Marcus, he can't just... He can, I interrupted. And he did. Her lip trembled. You think this makes us even? No, I said, walking closer. It makes us different, she frowned. Meaning? I don't need to humiliate you to feel whole. Her eyes glistened. You think you're better than me now? No, I said quietly. Just free. She looked down, voice breaking. You'll regret this, I stepped back. If that's true, you'll be the first to know. As I left, Lena joined me in the hall. That was cold. I promised myself I wouldn't gloat. Still, she said, smirking, watching her face, priceless. I didn't respond. I just walked toward the glass office at the end of the corridor, the one that used to belong to the man who fired me. The plaque on the door still read, Chief Executive Officer. I opened it. For a moment, I just stood there. The room smelled like cedar and old Triumph. This is yours now, Lena said softly. I walked to the desk and traced my fingers over the polished surface. It used to terrify me. What about now? Now it reminds me that fear is temporary, she smiled. You're going to be good at this. I looked at her reflection in the glass wall. Good isn't enough anymore. I need to be better than what built this place. She nodded. Then start by changing the tone. I turned toward her. Send a company-wide memo. Meeting at noon. Everyone, no exceptions. What's the topic? Accountability. When she left, I sat in the chair. My chair now. The city spread beneath me. Skyscrapers, light, ambition. The same skyline I used to stare at from the street when I was nothing more than a name on a forgotten file. Now I was the name on the door. The irony didn't make me smile. It made me steady. An hour later, Sam walked past my office carrying a stack of reports. She avoided my eyes, her steps uncertain. Sam, I called out. She stopped. Yes, sir? The word hit her like a confession. Close the door, I said. We have a lot to fix. She hesitated, then obeyed. When the door clicked shut, the silence between us was thick, sharp enough to cut through memory. "I don't want your apology," I said quietly. "I want results," she nodded quickly. "Of course." "For both our sakes," I added, "let's keep this professional." Her eyes flickered with something, shame maybe. "Understood." I turned my gaze back to the city. "Good. Let's get to work." Her reflection lingered behind me, smaller than I remembered. Every step I'd taken, every sleepless night, it led here. Not revenge, not even justice, control. And in that control, I finally felt the balance Marcus had promised. No fireworks, no applause. Just quiet victory, the kind that didn't need noise to be real. The boardroom looked almost identical to the day she destroyed me. Same table, same glass walls, same polished floor that reflected fear better than light. But this time, the fear wasn't mine. Marcus stood at the head of the room, his tone grave. "Before we begin, I want everyone's full attention. What you're about to see concerns the integrity of this company." Sam shifted in her chair. "Marcus, what is this about?" He didn't answer. Instead, he nodded to Lena, who stepped forward with a file so thick it looked heavy with truth. Lena placed it on the table. "These are internal emails, manipulated data, false audit reports, and private messages between Sam and a few external consultants." The room stirred. Sam laughed nervously. "This is absurd." "Anyone can fake an email." I leaned back, silent, watching. Lena continued, her voice steady. "Except these were pulled from the company server, time-stamped, verified." Marcus crossed his arms. "Would you like to explain, Sam?" "I don't know what this is," she said, her voice rising. "This is a setup." Marcus's expression didn't move. "The setup, as you call it, includes several messages sent from your company device. Would you like me to read one?" She swallowed. "No need, he opened the folder anyway." "He thinks he's so brilliant." "Wait till I make him a joke in front of everyone." A silence heavier than the air settled across the table. My name wasn't mentioned, but it didn't have to be. Everyone knew who she was talking about. Sam turned toward me, her eyes frantic. "Ethan, say something." "You know this isn't how it looks." I met her gaze, calm and steady. "It looks exactly how it sounds." She slammed her palm on the table. "I made a mistake, but this is corporate warfare." "We all play rough." Marcus's tone cut through her defense. "You falsified financial reports to cover your failures." "That's not warfare, it's fraud," the board murmured. Chairs creaked. The sound of her downfall was quiet, almost polite. I finally spoke. "Do you remember the day you laughed at me here?" Her lips parted. "Ethan, you called my proposal childish," I said softly. "You said I embarrassed you." Everyone laughed. "And you stood there smiling." "I was wrong," she whispered. I nodded. "Yes, you were." The words didn't come from anger anymore. "Just fact," she tried again, voice cracking. "I didn't mean to hurt you like that. It was business." "You know that?" "No," I said. "It was ego." Marcus gestured for the security officer standing near the door. "Sam, your employment is terminated effective immediately. HR will escort you out after this meeting." Her face crumbled. "Marcus, please, don't do this in front of them." He didn't answer. She turned to me. "Ethan, please, say something." "You can stop this." I didn't move. "I could," I said, "but I won't." Tears welled in her eyes. "You're really going to let them destroy me?" I stood slowly. "You destroyed yourself." The words landed like the final gavel. The silence that followed wasn't cold. It was clean. Security approached. Sam rose shakily, her voice barely holding. "You win, Ethan. I hope it feels good." I looked at her, really looked, and felt something unexpected. Not triumph, not hate, just distance. "This isn't about winning," I said quietly. "It's about ending." She tried to smile, but it broke halfway. "Goodbye, then." As the doors closed behind her, I caught the faint reflection of her walking out, the same way I once did, alone. Marcus turned toward me. "You handled that better than most would have." "I've already lived that scene once," I replied. This time I chose silence. Lena exhaled beside me. "You okay?" "I don't know," I admitted. "Justice feels heavier than revenge." She smiled faintly. "But lighter than guilt." I looked at the empty chair where Sam had sat, the same spot where she once laughed. The irony burned quietly like the final ember of a long fire. Marcus cleared his throat. "Shall we move on to the next agenda?" "Yes," I said. "Let's." As the meeting resumed, I barely heard the words. My mind drifted to the sound of rain outside, the same rain that once washed away my pride. Now, it washed away something else. The bitterness, the need to prove, the weight of her shadow. I closed my notebook and looked out the glass wall toward the city. "It's over," I whispered to myself, and for the first time, it truly was. The office looked different now, brighter, quieter, alive, but maybe it was just me who had changed. "Morning, boss," Adrian said, standing awkwardly at my door. "Got a minute?" I nodded. "Come in." He stepped in, holding a folder but not opening it. I wanted to say something before the meeting." I leaned back. "Go ahead." He hesitated, eyes on the floor. "That day when Sam tore into you in front of everyone, I should have said something." "I didn't, I just sat there." I folded my hands. "You weren't the only one." "I know," he said quietly, "but it doesn't make it right." I laughed along because I didn't want to be next. I was a coward. I studied his face, guilt written in every line. "And now?" He looked up. "Now I want to do things differently." "If you'll let me," I nodded slowly. "You already are. You came here to face it. That's a start," he exhaled, relieved. "Thank you, Ethan." "No," I said. "Just do better." "That's thanks enough," he gave a faint smile. "I will." After he left, Lena walked in, holding a coffee. "That looked intense." "Adrian finally said what I've been waiting years to hear," I said. She sat across from me. "An apology?" "Accountability," I corrected. "There's a difference," she smiled. "You sound like a real CEO now," I chuckled softly. "Funny, I never wanted to be one. Yet here you are." "Yeah," I said. "Here I am." She took a sip of coffee, watching me. "You don't look happy about it." "I thought power would feel like victory," I admitted. "But it just feels heavy." "Because you're using it right," she said simply. I looked at her, curious. "Meaning?" "Power without empathy is just control," she said. "You're trying to build something better. That's why it's hard." I thought about that as she left for her meeting. Later, I gathered the team in the conference room. "We're restructuring," I announced. "From now on, promotions won't depend on who talks the loudest, but who listens the best." A few surprised faces looked around. "Lena will head human resources," I continued. "She's proven she understands people better than anyone here." Lena's eyes widened. "Ethan, you earned it," I said. No debate, applause followed. Small, hesitant at first, then genuine. I looked around the room, people who had once avoided eye contact with me. Now they looked at me differently. Not with fear, with respect. After the meeting, I sat at my desk, staring at the skyline. The city looked so calm from up here, but I remembered how it felt to look at it from below, cold, indifferent. My phone buzzed. A message from Marcus. "Proud of what you're doing, Ethan. You're leading with balance." "That's rare." I smiled faintly and typed back, "Trying my best." "Still learning what power really means," he replied instantly. "That's exactly why you deserve it." The office door creaked open again. It was Adrian. "Hey, one more thing." "Yeah?" "I noticed the interns aren't being looped into major discussions." "You wanted inclusivity, right?" I nodded. "You're right. Set up a mentorship program. Pair each senior with a new hire," he grinned. "On it, boss." When he left, I realized something. People were starting to think like me, not fear me. That was the real victory. As evening fell, Lena returned with 2 cups of coffee. "You look tired," she said. "I am," I admitted. But in a good way. She sat down beside me. "Remember when we used to dream of an office that didn't feel like a battlefield?" I smiled. "We built one." "Almost," she said. "You just need to forgive yourself, too." Her words hit deeper than I expected. I looked down at my hands. "I'm still learning how." She stood, leaving her cup on the desk. "Then start small. Forgive the version of you that thought revenge was peace." I didn't respond. She walked out, and I watched her silhouette fade through the glass. Outside, the city lights blinked in waves like tiny heartbeats in the dark. I leaned back and whispered to myself, "Power isn't about taking back what was stolen. It's about giving others what you never had. The rain began again, soft, steady. The same rain that once soaked me in defeat now sounded like applause against the windows. For the first time, I didn't feel the need to win. I just wanted to lead right, and maybe that was the greatest revenge of all. The cemetery was quiet, only the wind moving through the trees. I stood in front of my mother's grave, hands in my pockets, feeling the weight of every word I'd never said when she was alive. "Hey, Mom," I whispered. "It's been a while," the silence answered back, soft and familiar. "I did it," I said. "Not the way you wanted, maybe," but I stood up again. The sky was turning gold, the city skyline glowing faintly in the distance. "I remember what you said," I continued, crouching beside the grave. "Let this pain build your backbone, not break it. You were right. It hurt like hell, but it built me." A voice startled me slightly. "You talk to her often?" It was Lena holding 2 coffee cups. She'd parked quietly behind me. "Sometimes," I said. "When I need to remind myself where I came from." She handed me a cup. "You still take it black?" "Always." I smiled faintly. She looked at the grave. "She'd be proud of you, Ethan." "I hope so," I murmured. "There were days I thought I'd never make it back." "You did more than make it back," she said. "You rose." I took a slow sip, the warmth cutting through the chill. Funny thing is, I thought revenge would make me feel alive. It didn't. "What did?" "This," I said, gesturing around. "Quiet, no noise." "No war," Lena smiled. "Peace looks good on you." "Still learning to wear it," I said. "Feels strange after all the armor," she laughed softly. "You don't need armor anymore." For a moment, we just stood there, watching the sun dip lower. "I keep thinking about her," I said. "Sam?" "Yeah, I don't hate her anymore." "That's a big step," Lena said. "I used to think forgiving her meant letting her win," I admitted. "Now I see it's the opposite. Hating her kept me tied to her story. Forgiving her lets me walk out of it." Lena nodded quietly. "That's freedom, Ethan." The word hung between us like something sacred. I knelt again, tracing the edge of my mother's name carved into the stone. I used to come here just to ask her why everything hurt so much. Today I just came to say thank you. "What for?" "For letting me learn pain without losing myself." Lena's eyes softened. "You didn't just survive, Ethan. You became someone people look up to." "Yeah," I said. "But the funny part? The person I became isn't trying to prove anything anymore." She smiled. "Then you finally won," I chuckled. "Maybe I did." The wind rustled again, scattering a few dry leaves over the grave. I looked up at the skyline. "She broke me," I said quietly. "But I rebuilt myself stronger than she ever imagined." Lena looked at me, her voice barely a whisper. "And now?" "Now I don't build to prove," I said. "I build to live." She took a step closer. "You know, we never celebrated properly." "For what?" "For everything," she said. "For surviving, for succeeding, for finally breathing," I smiled. "How do you celebrate peace?" "With coffee and silence," she said, raising her cup. I clinked mine against hers. "To silence, then." We drank quietly, letting the sound of the city hum in the distance. After a while, she said, "So what's next for you?" "I don't know," I said. "And for once, I'm okay with that." "That's rare for you." "I used to chase control," I said. "Now I just want balance." She nodded approvingly. "Sounds like the kind of CEO the world needs." I laughed softly. "Maybe. But right now I'm just a son talking to his mom." We stood there until the light faded, the last rays of sunset stretching across the headstone. "Goodbye, Mom," I whispered. "You can rest now." "I'm free." Lena touched my shoulder gently. "You ready to go?" "In a minute." She walked ahead toward the car while I stayed, looking at the grave one last time. All the anger, the shame, the noise, it didn't belong to me anymore. I breathed deeply, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Not power, not pride, just peace. As I turned to leave, I caught my reflection in the polished marble. The man looking back wasn't broken anymore. I smiled, not the smile of victory, but of release. And as the city lights flickered to life behind me, I whispered, "Freedom."